This website generated this AI track. It was like an Afrobeats track. And there's a producer tag in it. Copyrighted work is already being used to train artificial intelligence models without permission, according to Ed Newton-Rex, who resigned from his role leading Stability AI's audio team. I'd say this is a terrifying topic, and it is. Everyone's scared of AI, but this is part 2 of the At Odds podcast, episode 5, brought to you by 2Lost for free music distribution for 3 entire months and just $2.99 after that. Visit 2lost.com, use the code ATODDS, ATODDS for that. I don't know, are you familiar with the recent leaks that people have been talking about when it comes to Midjourney? So Midjourney is like the top AI graphics generator. It's generative AI. It's a stable diffusion system. I know they're going to cook me in the comments for even talking about this technology, but commandersherald.com. I actually saw this conversation start unfolding on Twitter, and this is crazy. And this is crazy for producers too. If you're a producer, you're going to want to watch this. According to a spreadsheet shared on Twitter on December 31st, 2023, an AI trainer for Midjourney has scraped art from many artists from Magic the Gathering, the popular card game, which, they've been around for decades. They're known for amazing artwork. I played Magic once my whole life, and I lost terribly, but the art was amazing. And according to the website Court Listener, the AI trainer scraped many art pieces for Midjourney. This includes Carla Ortiz, one of the initial plaintiffs in the case of Anderson et al. Versus Stability AI. So this is a real lawsuit. Other plaintiffs include Gregers, Rutkowski, Gerald Brom, and various others. Perhaps the most egregious is the indiscriminate scraping of the art of 6-year-old Hyun Tran, a one-time Magic artist whose sole art contribution has thus far been the Extra Life Secret Lair printing of metalwork colossus. Oh my God, this looks amazing. 6-year-old? In the Twitter thread, Midjourney's developers allegedly plotted to curate an artist list from which to train Midjourney. The discussion has since been submitted as evidence against the defendant. So this is just leaked information from an ongoing case against Midjourney, and there are screenshots. It's pretty crazy. So is this happening to music too? Because now there are all these generative AI platforms for music. From sky.com, copyrighted work is already being used to train artificial intelligence models without permission, according to Ed Newton-Rex, who resigned from his role leading Stability AI's audio team because he didn't agree with the company's opinion that training generative AI models on copyrighted works is fair use of the material. We've talked about fair use before. That's come up. I actually went viral because people didn't know what fair use was. I said making a sample-based beat is not fair use. And people were like, what do you mean sampling's not fair? You a bitch. There's no wrath like the wrath of a moron who doesn't know what you're talking about and then gets angry based on something they don't understand. So fair use is a defense that you can use. It's not like a law. Fair use isn't a law where it's like, if I tell you that I'm using this educationally, then I can use your copyrighted materials. It's for when you get caught doing something and you actually are violating copyright in a way that fair use has designated as okay, such as if you're a teacher and you're copying an excerpt from a copyrighted book and handing it out to your students, that's fair use. You're not going to really get in trouble for that. So anyway, Mr. Newton-Rex told Sky News that his issue is not so much with Stability as a company as it is with the generative AI industry as a whole. He says, everyone really adopts the same position, and this position is essentially we can train these generative models on whatever we want to, and we can do that without consent from the rights holders, from the people who actually created the content and who own that content. Newton-Rex added that one of the reasons the large AI companies do not agree that's clumsy. Basically, the reason they don't make deals with artists is because it involves legwork that costs them time and money. Imad Mostak, co-founder and chief executive of Stability AI, said that fair use supports creative development. Does it? So, according to the Grammy website, art created entirely by artificial intelligence is not eligible for copyright. We've heard that. I think that law is going to change. I think copyright law is going to change quite a bit over the next 5 years. Although the Recording Academy embraces advances in technology, want to ensure that what makes art special, human creativity and passion, is protected. So this is the Grammy website. Is AI art being created entirely by artificial intelligence? No, it's being trained on humans' work. So where does AI start and the human contribution end? It's really kind of all the same now. And here's the scary part. I'm not going to name the AI. People have been commenting a lot about this particular AI, saying, Payne, have you heard of such and such AI? You can generate a beat on there. You just type in a prompt and it sounds good. And I don't even speak on it. I have tried it, and you can generate decent sounding beats, probably the best actual AI beats, not like these sites that just throw loops together and call it AI. This is generative AI, and the beats sound really decent. But a friend of mine was using it, and he sent me a link to something he created on there, and this website generated this AI track. It was like an Afrobeats track, and there's a producer tag in it. The reason I'm not saying the name is because I tried to get the link back. This happened either back September or October of 2023. And I'm like, do I talk about this? And now it's gone because the link is dead. They've rebranded and changed their systems. But, take my word if you want or don't believe me. But yeah, there was the producer tag. And it wasn't a specific producer's tag. It was the purchase your beats, that tag, the generic tag that a lot of beat selling platforms use. Does this suggest that their system is stealing type beats, that they're just scanning a bunch of type beats from like BeatStars or Airbit or YouTube? It could mean that. Could some producers be marking their tagged beats as Creative Commons? That could be too. But even Creative Commons, which was just a way of allowing a license for people to, you maintain your copyright, but you allow a general license for people to like remix a song or just redistribute it. You kind of define what that license allows people to do. That was created before AI anyway, before generative AI. So I don't know that they've opted into it. It seems like these AI platforms are kind of doing whatever they want according to these articles, and then justifying it by saying, yeah, Creative Commons, yeah, fair use. Could they be actually using generative AI and stealing copyrighted materials under fair use? I don't think so, but they're certainly making that argument. I think at best it's legal gray area, but this is also kind of terrifying. I mean, I've never opted into an AI system. So if my beats are being scanned on my website and fed into some large system, so someone can type in, I want a soulful beat with Rhodes about 80 beats per minute, and what comes out is a variation of something I created, or a variation of 100 things I created, that's definitely copyright infringement.
Yeah, I think for these topics, I mean, I definitely feel more. I mean, even a lawyer right now, I mean, they'll have a lot more information than me. But like you said, things are going to be changing dramatically in the next few years. So yeah, I don't even know. I think that's pretty whack that if your art's being used and fed into these models and no conversation's been had about any type of compensation and not even a notice, like if people are just scraping people's content and adding it to these models, that's kind of wild. Um, but that's typically the case with like new technology. It's typically a wild wild west, and then laws and regulations catch up years later, so people have a certain period of time to really take advantage, um, and get ahead of the game. But it's unfortunate, but that's the pace in which laws and regulations move.
With a lot of other things, the law moves really slow, but you're moving still at the speed of humans. This is at the speed of AI. So it's like by the time they make legislation, it's already too late because the artificial intelligence is learning so quickly. And then I feel like I'm assuming that it's a technology linked to the AI that's also doing the scraping. It's also artificial intelligence. So, like, what is it you write into it? Like, the law says don't scrape this, so you can't scrape this now. It's like, is it a law abiding citizen? Does the law apply to the technology? I just feel like it's very unfortunate. And then even I had read about that. What was it? The CEO or that guy resigning, basically because he was like, "Yo, this is terrible. I've tried to talk to people about this. I'm saying I can no longer be a part of how much intellectual property that we do not own that's being taken and utilized to build our entire mechanism." So if somebody at the top is saying that they're leaving their entire operation because it's so unethical, I think we're in a scary and very unfortunate place. And I don't know if there's enough lobbyists or people who care about music rights holders that could get it in front of people fast enough to make a difference. So I don't know. I think this whole thing is really going to shake up a lot. And right now, people aren't going to care. They're going to be like, oh, okay. But I think the implications are devastating to a degree.
Yeah, and I mean, with these systems, they're oftentimes just kind of these independent. I mean, they have investment, but I don't know if they have the same kind of investment that, say, bigger companies that might be against generative AI now would have. However, remember when we were talking about AI and Universal Music Groups, making this clear stance that they were against AI, they're going to fight generative AI music, but they were also quietly investing in these AI startup companies. I think we're going to see a lot of that. There's going to be an initial pushback, just like we saw with Napster. There's going to be this initial pushback, and then these large companies with billions of dollars are going to invest in and start owning their own generative AI companies so they can control it, and they can profit from it. I don't think it's ever going to be about art over money for these companies. So just, and no, commerce, capitalism, all that, it's not about art. It's about money. It's not called artlism or humanism or, whatever. It's about capital. So once they find a way to get some capital and control that market share, they're going to do it. In the next few years, it's going to be interesting to see where these lawsuits go if these major companies start also, because major companies own a lot of IP. So they don't want generative AI sites scraping theirs and making money off it. They want to scrape their own and make money off of it. So it's anyone's guess as to how this will happen, but I think it's pretty clear what's going to eventually happen. I don't know what the technology is going to look like once it's entirely centralized, but I think that's just what it's going to be. It's like with streaming, the labels were against it until they centralized it, and now it's centralized and they love it. They're making billions of dollars off of it. AI is going to be the same.
Yeah, and I don't think we can count on our dusty politicians to kind of keep up with this stuff. There's still a lot of them are still trying to grasp email and Google. Like,
do you want to open another can of worms with that PIF conversation, or should we save that for next week?
No, we can save it for next week, but just to cue it up for next week. Ultimately, just want to have a debate slash conversation on which era of music has been the best for independent artists, right? I mean, because eras might be different. An era might be better for a fan than an independent art. Like
Yeah.
it's, you know what I'm saying? Like so, but for independent artists, which era of music? I mean, there's gonna because basically what I've witnessed. I mean, I've been working in the music industry for how many eras? Probably the tail end of CDs, um, downloads, and then now streaming. So I would say like two and a half eras. Um, so I actually been working and been a fan of music since I'm old. So I was born in '80, so cassettes to CDs. But at the end of the day, I think what we're gonna find is like from an independent artist perspective, there's cries and complaints in every single era. Like people have their issues with every single era. There's never going to be a time in which there's not a bunch of complaints, but that really just goes back to what I've always said and probably say every episode is like this this industry was only built for a very small percentage of people to win. So you're going to get a lot of cries in any era because most people are losing. Or
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, because there is this weird nostalgia for an era that was much more restrictive than today's era. But I don't know. I
if you go
mean,
back to that era, all the complaints were like, "Oh shit, man, things being gate kept, people hating on me, they not letting me in." And then you release all
yeah.
then you knock all that shit down. Now people are like, "Damn, I wish it was gate kept a little more." Like, yo, we can't have it always. So I
Well, I
think
think some gatekeeping is great, but that being said, I just mean like people saying there's no money in the music business now. There was back then. The labels are making all the money now, and no one cares about talent. Like I've heard. Come on, man.
so,
You
and
think that wasn't being said about Vanilla Ice and Milli Vanilli? Like these conversations have been happening forever. You think this didn't happen when they stole rock music from black people early on?
No, but what I tweeted last week. I said strong independent teams are going to get to it no matter what era, no matter what algorithm, no matter what platform. If you have a strong team, you're going to get to it. Like if you sit there and complain, and worry and don't do things strategically or have the right team, then you're probably going to struggle. But strong independent teams are going to get to it no matter what era we're talking about. So but yeah, we continue the conversation next week.
All right, sounds good. We'll catch you next week for an incredibly volatile conversation about which area. And I like the tweet, Dame, because it brought up a lot of stuff. I think some of the responses were a little wild. I want to look at those, but some of them were a combination of wild and logical, which I like. I like when the conversations aren't clear cut, and I don't think it was a clear cut conversation that ensued after that tweet.
I was poking at people because I wasn't like so the tweet, if I could remember correctly, I think it was actually a retweet from Russ because Russ was saying that he just enjoyed the Dat Piff days, the Dat Piff era days, and then I retweeted and quoted, and because on Dat Piff, we had millions of downloads on Dat Piff, and we didn't, you didn't get paid for none of that, but we weren't tripping, artists weren't tripping, and even on SoundCloud, a lot of these sites, artists were not tripping about being paid. So then, of course, I had to, just kind of jab folks. I was like, yo, at least Spotify is paying something. It's not apples to apples. Obviously, I understand that. I've been in the game. Like, if I tweet something, like like not too many people are hitting me with replies with things I didn't know or think about. But like obviously I know that DatPiff and Spotify are two different entities. It's not apples to apples. However, when you think about like just artist expectations, monetization thing, those kind of conversations. We have to think about like how artists approached it. Why were artists just grateful for getting a world star look? People didn't care if World Star paid you. People even SoundCloud wasn't paying nothing. Like the people were happy to be on SoundCloud. Um, you know what I mean? So again, it's not apples to apples, but I think it's worth a conversation in terms of like just the mentality of artists then versus now, possibly.
Yeah, we'll save some of that fire, Dame. Because I think, yeah, I have some opinions. You have some opinions. I know Erin has some opinions because she's smiling. And you know what? We never picked up on this, and this was a great tragedy. Remember, we were teasing the idea of an Erin dating show, and I forget their name, but they said the obvious name for that show is Erin's Night, and I was like, amazing.
That's genius. Whoever came up with that, I love that. Thanks.
Yeah, drop a comment so we can actually give you your credit for that. So yeah, we can make it happen. We'll see. There were a lot of men were commenting with their resumes, but a lot of them were artists too. So I don't know. We'll have to pick.
I need to go back through the comments. Y'all say a lot of nice stuff to me regularly, but I need to see the comments. But honestly, artists, bless y'all, but I don't think it's gonna happen just off the strength of you being an artist. But respect to y'all.
All right. Well, once again, we appreciate you tuning in. Tune in next week for the incendiary conversation about Dame's That Piff tweet, and enjoy the debate. Till next time. Peace.